This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody. It's time to talk Monday Night Raw. That took place from Atlanta, Georgia last night. And decent show, I have to say. Not even decent. I think it was good. I really enjoyed Monday Night Raw. Not without its flaws and some question marks. And some programs don't even have a baby face in them. We'll get to that, although some of you disagree. And we're going to dive into the Cody and the Brock thing and Judgment Day and Ronda and Shayna, of course, and a lot of other stuff. So we're going to do that in just a second. But first, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me here on the WWE Podcast. We are going to be here every single day, nearly every single day as we put out a show, but ad-free. Want to point that out at the very beginning, as I always do. The ad-free experience is available to you on patreon.com/WWE Podcast, as well as on Apple, which does provide an ad-free experience. But speaking of ad-free, I want to give a shout out to our latest patron who joined us over the last couple of days, and that is Peter P. I don't want to give the last name, but Peter P. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining us here on the WWE Podcast. I hope you enjoy, as well as I think Tony. We gave Tony a shout out, but welcome to the family. Enjoy your ad-free everything. Alrighty. So, guys, let's talk Monday Night Raw as we get closer and closer to SummerSlam. I almost said WrestleMania, but we are creeping closer to SummerSlam. That is going to be here before we know it. And we got a little bit of progression towards SummerSlam. We got one more confirmed match. And boy, is WWE waiting till the last second here to get all the confirmed matches. Now we kind of see where things are going. We just got some challenges, and of course the challenges are going to be accepted. I don't ever know if there has been a challenge that has been thrown out there that the opponent hasn't eventually accepted, but it feels like we're just waiting till the last second here, and no big surprises. And let's start. Where I want to start. I want to start with the new women's tag team champions. And those women's tag team champions would be Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. This is a bit of a surprise if you are prescribed to the long-term title reign strategy implemented by the Triple H regime. It is a different feel, and I don't hate when an occasional hot potato happens. I think we have been trained over the last several years to not like the hot potato because they did it with every belt far too often. And when it happens now, you're a bit surprised, but that's kind of the point. It should be a rarity. And hot potato is okay once in a while if the strategy is to get more teams on the map. Put some names out there you wouldn't expect to be out there. Elevate some teams, elevate some names. And that's what you're doing with the women's tag team champions that were crowned last night in Atlanta, Georgia. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. The match itself against Liv and Raquel, fine. But that's not the story here. To me, the story is how uninspiring and awkward and really off-putting Liv and Raquel are as a team. To me, in some ways, they're more off-putting and obnoxious than the heels are of Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. I think the chemistry with Chelsea and Sonya is actually better than it is with Liv and Raquel, which has always been seemingly kind of forced. I've really enjoyed Sonya and Chelsea. I think that they have, in my mind, overachieved, but that's a good thing. I'm rooting for overachievers. I'm rooting for those that you just see in the shadows and don't expect much, and then all of a sudden, bam, there they are. And I think that it is surprising again. And my initial knee-jerk reaction was, what? We went from the crowning of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler as champions. Liv and Raquel get the belts back that they never lost, but just lost due to injury. And then wham, within a month, now it's changed to yet another team. And, my initial reaction is, because hot potato has been educated to us to be a bad thing, is what are they doing? And after a few seconds, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is a good thing. For the aforementioned reason about the, just to me, insufferableness of Liv and Raquel, and even individually, I'm not fans of them as baby faces. Just on a separate singles level. Not that I don't like their in-ring ability. I think that's fine. They've got characters that are, not exactly deep, but they kind of, what their place is, who they are. And with Raquel smiling all the time, it makes you want to see, one of the women just punch her right in the mouth, and her flexing all the time, and she's bigger and more physically imposing. Her, she doesn't seem to get a good positive reaction, at least a strong one, consistently. Liv is kind of like the little schoolgirl that, honestly, she has kind of an annoying voice just inherently, and that's good if you're a heel. But it's nails on a chalkboard if you're trying to get with her, and it's just one of those things that it just adds to your reasons why you may not be connecting with Liv on a strong positive level. It's not the only thing, not the singular thing that's going to turn you off. It just kind of, pile it on. This is one of those things. Again, they're not the most insufferable team in the world. We've certainly had worse baby faces that WWE put in front of us, and they never turned them heel. But in this case, I don't think the plan is to turn them heel. The plan is to just have them go their separate ways. And it's clear the path that they're taking with Raquel, and that is to go to Rhea Ripley. And Liv, I don't know. I don't know where Liv goes from here. I would imagine Liv and Raquel, unless they're going to maintain the team of Raquel and Liv, I think that this is probably just kind of a quiet split for these two. And I don't mind Rhea and Raquel. I know some of you out there don't like that. I'm good with it. Not that Raquel has any chance of winning, but it provides Rhea Ripley with her actual first real opponent. Natalya doesn't count. Okay, she just doesn't count. I know she put on, and credit to her, she had a really good match with Rhea Ripley a few weeks ago on Raw, and showed what she can do, and she still has it, but she's never going to be it anymore. And so she's just kind of the gatekeeping veteran that's going to give their stamp of approval to the newcomers, right? I mean, there's men and women who have that role, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's needed. But Natalya doesn't count as a real opponent for Liv, or for Rhea, rather. So this is their first real challenge. They teased Becky and Rhea. I think that's coming after Becky and Trish wrap up their match at SummerSlam. But Raquel and Rhea, that's a fun match, because it's one in which Rhea can't just easily overpower her opponent. It's her first opponent that matches her in strength and size. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to see that dynamic. Do I think the match is going to be blow away? No, I don't, because they both have power styles. And typically when you have the same type of style, it doesn't interlock well for delivering a 5-star match anyway. It can still deliver a very solid match. I don't expect a bomb of a match by any means. But if we're looking for, a Sasha and Charlotte kind of match, or a Becky Charlotte, or a Sonya or a Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch matchup, or Bianca and Charlotte, or that kind of those women that seem to interlock well all with each other, probably not the matchup in terms of quality that you can expect. If they do, great, and I hope they do. I hope they overperform and they prove me wrong. Again, I'd say 2.5, 3 out of 5 stars, probably at the most, for this one when it becomes official. But that's fine. Again, more power to them. I hope they blow me out of the water and make me eat my words, because I am rooting for that. But this program to me seems like a bit of a 1, maybe 2-month program, but likely it's probably a setup for Raquel to turn heel. I just can't see her moving forward after the kind of reception she's been getting for months now, like where they continue to push her forward. Maybe this is a last ditch effort to get her into that position that they want her to be in, and maybe it works because they already have a top heel in Rhea. You want her to be able to work with top baby faces, but if this is a big colossal failure when it comes to Rhea Ripley and or getting Raquel into that solid babyface reaction position, maybe they reconsider, but nonetheless, that's the point of this breakup that's coming, I think, and the point of them dropping the belts is to put Raquel solidly, squarely in the main event of the women's side of things, ultimately not to win. But again, Liv, I don't know. I don't know what Liv does or goes or is up to. I don't know. All right. Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. Let's talk about that. Since he always asks us, what do we want to talk about? Well, hey, here's one thing, Cody, that you just cannot, for some reason, give up. He's just continuing down this road of what do you want to talk about. I'm not going to go on my whole diatribe of a rant. I'll just continue to say calmly and decisively, it's not going to work. It cannot work. It's fundamentally flawed because you're asking a question the audience cannot answer coherently as a unit. There's no sing-along to this. It's not even a rhetorical question. They can't say yes. They can't say no. It's an open-ended question that he's trying to be cute to implement the name of the city to get a pop, ultimately to ask a question that can't be answered or reacted to. If you cheer, it doesn't make sense, other than you cheering for him mentioning your city, but it's not answering the question of what do you want to talk about. There, I coherently said it without raising my voice. But I will conclude, Cody, it's not going to happen. It's not. I know he's trying to find a clever way to implement the name of the city into any. He came up with a catchphrase that you could just insert name of city and the crowd will react positively. The problem is he only got half the equation, right? He got half the equation because, sure, pop, name a city. I understand what he's trying to do, but it's the type of question he's asking that is flawed and cannot be reacted to other than just people cheering. And then after the people cheer, they must be going, what am I cheering for? That's not a coherent response to the question he asked. If I said to somebody, and this is the last thing I'll say, guys, I promise I'll move on, is if I said to you, hey John, I'm sure there's a John out there listening. What do you want to talk about? And you just started cheering, I wouldn't know how to react. I'd be like, what? Think about that, right? Think about that reaction on an individual level. It doesn't make sense. So, okay, I've made my point more than enough times. Moving on. But it is Atlanta. It was the home of Cody Rhodes. He didn't come out in a suit. He came out in wrestling gear, a cutoff T-shirt and his wrestling trunks, and that's nice to see once in a while. And he had his mom in the front row, and I saw his mom in the front row, and he pointed that out. I said, "Uh-oh." I said, "Oh, where's Brock?" Right? And so Cody comes out. He said that they didn't really need to talk because there's a large shadow looming over the arena in the form of Brock Lesnar. And Cody said Brock should come to the ring and accept his challenge for SummerSlam. Lesnar's music played and the fans cheered mostly. And then the broadcast team were puzzled. He added that Lesnar is scheduled to appear and assumed he was going to be fashionably late. He said he doesn't matter if he shows up at 9 or 10 or the very end of the show, he's still going to be in this ring waiting. So I didn't know if that was a threat to hold the show hostage or hijack the show, or if he's just saying, whenever you come out, then I'll come out. I mean, I kind of took it as he's going to stay in the ring until Brock comes out. It's neither here nor there because Brock did come out, but interesting though. And Cody, again, pointed out his mom and said he can only think of 2 words with about his relationship with Brock Lesnar. And he said, hard times. He said it won't be hard times for him when Lesnar shows up. It'll be hard times for Brock. He said he loved the fans and enjoyed the show. Blech. And that was me being over dramatic, throwing up. That kind of stuff, stop. That, I don't know what it is. It's a flaw probably in my personality, but I've fully embraced it. When people transparently try to get approval, it makes me want to do the opposite reaction that they're desiring from me. And I don't know what that's about. I could probably sit with a psychologist to figure this out, among many other issues I have. So Cody went to ringside, he hugged his family members, and then Brock Lesnar's music played and it stopped, and then it played again, and the fans booed. Playing kind of cat and mouse. Eventually Cody went to the back and a chair flew into the stage area, and that's when Lesnar came out, battering Cody with a chair, hit an F5 in front of his mother and put him in a Kimura lock, and then put him in the ring and reapplied the Kimura lock. And the announce team was concerned that Brock was going to break Cody's arm again. And Brock also accepted the challenge from Cody Rhodes for SummerSlam. So we're on. Now, no stipulation was added yet. I can't imagine that there won't be. There should be. If this is a straight wrestling match, I'm not going to flip out. They work well together. Their last 2 matches have been very good. The chemistry's there. I'm not going to flip out. It's just logic would dictate there should be some kind of additional flavor added to this match other than just a straight wrestling match. So again, simple, effective. It put a lot of heat on Brock, beating somebody up in their hometown in front of their family. It's an opportunity that you just can't miss. I know that, a lot of times you think, oh, they're in their hometown, they're going to do something great, or this is an opportunity to lift them up. I think it's an opportunity to bring them down by getting heat on the heel and more sympathy for you. I mean, getting beat down in your hometown isn't a negative. Actually, to me, it's more of an opportunity to help both rather than just lifting up the babyface that's getting cheered anyway, instead of taking the opportunity to get nuclear heat. And that's what happened here. And Brock is getting booed pretty solidly. Outside of his entrance, he got booed. You wonder if that would have translated in any other city. Probably not to that degree, but I think generally this has been a success. Now, 2 things. One, I think it's time that we sign a petition to get Brock's hair cut. Okay, I know some of you love that ponytail. I haven't liked it since day one. I'm glad he stopped with the cowboy stuff at least. I never got used to that. I'm all about a buzz cut Brock Lesnar. I know that he did it in spite of people saying he shouldn't do it, so I can appreciate that on a very deep level. I get that. But as a fan watching, man, like, I will continue to say this. I'll put a bounty out there. If somebody wants to, somehow find the location of Brock Lesnar, and in the middle of the night, come in with clippers and buzz his hair, I'll let you come on the podcast. That's your payment. I think that's worth the risk, right? So I think we should sign a petition. Please, Brock, cut the hair, bro. I know what he's doing, but I can't stand it. Personal taste. The other thing, Brock Lesnar's reasoning for attacking Cody. We're at the conclusion of their 3rd match. They've been fighting now, not consistently, but for the better part of 4 months, and we still don't have a reason. And I know I've gone over this too, so I'll just calmly say again, it's inexcusable. I know that their reasoning is, well, it's Brock, he does what he wants. No. When he was with Paul Heyman, he had Paul Heyman to explain why he's doing the things he's doing. And Brock has shown competency on the microphone more than enough to be able to explain basic reasoning for attacking people. And if he wants to just say, I'm Brock effing Lesnar and I do what I want to do, great, cool, say it then. But for them to not even just say it and just have the fans just they're thinking the fans will just come up with a reason and they don't care. Oh, no. I do. We do. I think it's a missed opportunity, and it's lazy storytelling. Lazy. The why in wrestling is so important. Think about this. When you have a heel turn, specifically heel turns, how many times do you see signs, not so much anymore, but the question's still there, of why someone, why whoever, why? Remember those signs? When someone would turn heel? When Austin turned heel, why Austin, why? Or why Rock, why? Or whatever the case may be. And the fans always wanted to know why. The why is so important. It's what links everything together. It gives the story purpose instead of it just being mindless violence. It allows you to understand why someone did something that they did. Now, you may think the reason's stupid, and there have been very stupid reasons for people attacking one another. But at least you were given the common courtesy of being told a reason. And I'm not giving them a pass on this. I don't care if it's Brock Lesnar. Again, if you want to tell him, it's Brock, he does what he wants to do, fine, I understand the implication. But the complete laziness and lack of respect for fans to not have us at least be told any kind of reason from Brock Lesnar himself, not from Cody, not from the announcers. I know they tried that at the beginning. From Brock Lesnar himself, who's a big boy and can definitely tell us why he did what he did. It's inexcusable and it's insulting to our intelligence. I know some of you have forgotten and moved on, and they have assumed that the fans have. I haven't, and I know some of you haven't either. Whatever, right? I know it's just, move on. Sorry, when I can't be told basic information about one of their major stars about why they did what they did, inexcusable. Okay, moving on. I promise. All right, Intercontinental Champion Gunther. This wasn't an IC title match, but it was a non-title match with Gunther and Riddle. 8-minute match. It ended with Gunther beating Riddle clean with kind of a sloppy powerbomb. It wasn't the most impactful powerbomb, but it established the powerbomb as a finish that can finish the match. And it continued to build momentum, the all-important momentum for Gunther, who's not really in matches a lot, or at least in one-on-one matches on Raw. He seems to be perpetually ringside for his for Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser. So it's nice to see him in a match. I would have liked to see this actually go longer, but 8 minutes, not much to say here. A lot of knee strikes, drop kicks from Gunther, but the powerbomb ended it, and that's it. Now, after the match, Gunther climbed onto the table with the microphone and said that he told the fans he could boo him all he wants, but he's the greatest. But it's the greatest night of their sad lives. That was funny because they got to see the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He told Riddle he's done and with him, and that he's building a legacy. And he said Drew McIntyre could ride his coattails, but he'll fall victim to the ring general like everyone else. Good, solid, easy to understand, cool. This was just a solid move forward. It's establishing that Gunther and Riddle are done, and he's setting his sights squarely on Drew McIntyre and that IC title match probably at SummerSlam. All right, where are we at here? We have the Kevin Patrick plugging WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. Priority passes, I guess, is what he was doing. And Ripley stood in the ring with Dom and Balor after that, and Priest, and asked the fans if they really thought they were going to break up. And Ripley labeled herself the most dominant woman in the industry and said that she's unbeatable as champion, and spoke about how Dom will become the NXT North American champion on Tuesday, right now, actually, as I'm recording this. I hope he wins. I had to say, because that's really the only title Dom can chase right now. You have a Seth Rollins with the world title that just got the world title. You created that title. Well, really brought it back, but they're pretending it was created, which is nonsensical. But they brought it back to give to somebody to be the anti-Roman, so you can't have a Dominic Mysterio on this side of the aisle to complement Roman's heel run as well. So that's one thing. The Intercontinental title is also held by a heel on Raw, and he's in a match with in a program right now with Gunther or with Drew McIntyre. You have the tag titles, which eventually he may capture, but right now, if you're looking for a singles title, the options are very limited for Dom. He has to go to NXT, and honestly, I hope he wins it. I want to see Dom at one point over the next, I'd say year, over the next year by next summer, if he could become world champion, if he stays on Raw. That's what I want. Okay. We've got Balor telling Priest, "I love you, bro." So it seems that they've patched things up, at least for now. That could change quickly at SummerSlam. Dom got booed out of the building as always, and then Sami Zayn comes out and feels like he's had a good relationship with the fans and knows what they like and dislike. And Zayn asked the fans if they paid to listen to Dom talk, and the fans booed. He then let Owens handle the rest of the promo because he said he seemed agitated after listening to the Judgment Day talk. And Owens went on his tirade of, anger mismanagement and said he didn't care if the titles were on the line as long as he got his hands on Dom. Cool. All right. So we got, Liv Morgan and Raquel, as I mentioned already. We already went over that with the women's tag title change. And then we got a sit-down interview with Seth and Byron. And he said Seth Rollins, that is, said he had big plans for defending his title at SummerSlam. Rollins said he has a very short list of possible challengers, which is nonsense because he said he would defend it against anyone, anywhere. So all of a sudden this list is short? Stop. Please. However, I'm not here to crap on this segment at all. In fact, I'm about to do the opposite. He said Damien, Drew, Gunther were on that list. Apparently, he's pre-qualifying them now. But Finn walked onto the set and excused Saxton. Balor sat down and Saxton sat and looked at Rollins while telling him he wants his rematch. He said he doesn't care how many challengers there are. The line starts with him. Balor told Rollins to talk to Adam Pearce and make the match. Rollins said he understood where Balor was coming from, but he has to stop living in the past. Balor said he's not living in the past. He's living in chaos. And that he's going to do to Rollins what Rollins did to him. And he's going to hurt Rollins, laugh in his face, and alter his career forever. And then we had Rollins say, "I'm going to say this once. The World Heavyweight Championship is about more than your personal vendetta. It's bigger than you. Hell, it's bigger than me. And if you're just going to want to settle a score, we don't need a match for that. We can do that right here, right now." And Rollins told Balor to take his shot or get out of his face. And Balor said, "Cool," and stood up and walked away and Rollins asked the crew if they were done. And then wham, Balor hit him from behind and got a few shots in. This was an effective segment. Not long, but effective for a couple of reasons. One, they didn't have to deal with the crowd trying to take over with Rollins' song again, which was just egregious in Kansas City. I'll never forget that. However, so they didn't have to worry about that factor. Also, the setting was great. The set was great. The lighting, the camera angles, excellent. The delivery by both Rollins and Finn on point. And for Rollins specifically, to get out of that kind of always maniacally laughing, joking around character into snapping into a serious human being mode, if that makes sense. That, to me, was one of the most, if not the most effective part and memorable part of this segment was Rollins snapping into human being mode, not wrestling persona over the top, larger than life character mode. if that, I don't know how to explain it any more, I guess, eloquently than that. But that was really nice. So a lot of times this character is just too over the top. And this was bringing it back down to earth. And I liked it. So this is going to be a fun match, guys. I mean, we already saw what they can do. We know what they can do even prior to that. They're both absolutely at the top of their game. They are true ring generals. They work so well together. They know each other so well. This is going to be, at least on paper, it should be match of the night. We'll see if that ends up playing itself out, but this was just a really effective segment. Very effective. Really enjoyed this. Okay, we got, let's see, Alpha Academy making their entrance as Viking weapons and longboats were shown in and around the ring. And then Titus O'Neil joined the broadcast team, and the Viking Raiders made their entrance. Valhalla brought Dupree's varsity jacket, and Titus started talking about all the Viking gods that Valhalla worships, and said he's the only one in Jesus Christ. Wow. You don't hear that a lot. The Viking Raiders climbed onto the longboat, and Otis launched Gable onto them. He didn't make much contact, and then Dupree dropkicked Valhalla and somehow made even less contact. Yeah, that was bad. So this was the Viking Raiders. The match was with Valhalla versus the Alpha Academy, and the Alpha Academy lost to the Viking Raiders in a Viking rules match. Not exactly the most technically sound match, kind of a car crash. It was, hey, what did you expect? I mean, at least if you're looking for more of a female dynamic to this whole thing, to get the women involved, you're seeing that somewhat regularly. Both of them need work in ring. They need minutes in front of a live crowd, no doubt about that. So it's okay. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but I could, I don't know. I could probably do without all the gimmick stuff. Okay. Oh, by the way, there was I think it was WWE that put something out on Twitter or Instagram. Might have been Twitter. Or it was a totally different account. I'm not sure. But somebody was mentioning how Titus O'Neil should join the broadcast team. Yes. I like Titus O'Neil. I know that he's Mr. Global Ambassador. He's the spokesperson for every kind of side program and sponsored sponsored event that they have with the Be a Star and all that stuff. And you need guys like that. But I really believe this. Titus O'Neil would be an excellent addition to the broadcast team. And actually, replacing Kevin Patrick, I'm not saying adding. Okay, I'm a big fan of a two-man booth. Replacing Kevin Patrick with Titus O'Neil may not be the worst thing in the world. I can appreciate how difficult the job that Kevin Patrick has had. But that job, that play-by-play position has been a revolving door for a while, and it seems that they've landed on Kevin, and, hey, I wish him the best. I hope he does well. But I'm not a fan of just his delivery, and this is personal taste. Everything he says, as I said, is kind of exhaustive. And he's doing a drop kick. Like I said, he just feels like everything out of his mouth is just so he just did 100 squat thrusts, and he's now trying to deliver a play-by-play. And he always kind of seems like he's never serious. He's just trying to force himself to be serious or trying to be over the top about things when it seems forced. I don't know. Guys, I'll get off it, but Kevin Patrick is, bring Titus O'Neil in. Give him a shot. That's my pitch. Okay, moving on. Shayna Baszler, Nikki Cross. That was 20 seconds. This was an embarrassingly quick match for Nikki. And Ronda Rousey was up in a skybox and said, "The crowd goes mild." And she's doing her little kind of side smile thing. And boy, Ronda Rousey's so unlikable. That said, Shayna Baszler, not that much more likable, I have to say. I put this on Twitter. I said, hey, who's the baby face in this program? We don't have one. And, someone's like, oh, we do. It's Shayna. I'm like, why? Explain that exactly. How? She's the one that turned on Ronda. So clearly they tried to establish her as a heel, but the crowd doesn't know what to do. So they're I guess, going to reverse course and then just see which way the wind blows and take it that way. But, Shayna Baszler's not. She beat Nikki Cross, who I guess is a baby face. Not really involved in much right now, but beat her quickly and decisively. So there's no real baby face here. It's just two heels fighting, and the crowd is trying to find somebody to get behind. But the promo here was okay. We had Rousey ask Baszler to tell her what was easier, the front door of going through the indies to developmental, where the greatest minds in this industry cultivate your talent so that you're ready for the big stage. Boy, if that didn't come out of WWE corporate, I mean, I'm sorry. That's kind of a little, it's corporate speak of, it's a way that somebody in a meeting in corporate would describe what NXT is. Tell me this is not. I mean, like when you look at the text, which I'm reading now, it's clear that somebody in corporate just took the mission statement of NXT and said, Ronda, just say this about the NXT, right? Let me read that again. She said, what was easier, the front door of going through the indies to developmental, which is NXT, where the greatest minds in the industry cultivate your talent so you're ready for the big stage. I mean, it feels like that should be on a banner in the NXT developmental, in the Capital City Wrestling Center, or whatever they're calling it now, in Orlando. It's just, it's corporate speak. No one speaks like that. Idiot, God. But she said, or by the back door of winning an Olympic medal in judo and an earth-shattering MMA career, and then being thrown into the ring with no experience. Okay, couple problems here, and go ahead, write a negative review, guys. This is just how I feel about Ronda. Okay, I'm not a fan of her general promo work. I respect what she's done on the combative sports field. She revolutionized women in MMA. Absolutely, no question. I would like her to slow the hell down when she talks. She speaks 100 miles an hour just to get through it. And also, no, you weren't thrown in the ring with no experience. You had a lot of people around you to help you. Now, you picked it up very quickly, and credit to you. No, you didn't go in the ring with no experience. Okay? In fact, your promo exactly proves the opposite. How? Because you can translate those judo skills and MMA skills into pro wrestling. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying you have that background, so don't tell me you don't have any experience. So Ronda said she wasn't given her opportunity. She took it. I mean, I'm not saying she was handed on a silver platter. They're not going to put someone dangerous in the ring. But she certainly, compared to most, was about a mile ahead because of her previous accomplishments. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I actually am on the side of Ronda when it comes to that. That, of course, you're not somebody just off the street that was handed an opportunity randomly. You had an accomplished background and body of work that allows you to skip the line in a sense. But anyway, she said it took her a fraction of the time in WWE, just like in MMA, that Baszler invested. That's true. Rousey said she's the greatest combat athlete of all time, where Baszler's just a knockoff version of her. Well, I don't know if she's the greatest combat athlete of all time. I think Holly Holm would have something to say about that. And I would imagine she's talking about women, not men. So there's that too. But yeah, we've heard the Baszler knockoff thing. It's fine. That's a common criticism of Baszler, and you might as well bring it to the forefront. But Baszler said it's easy for Rousey to talk from way up there, and said that when it comes to what they do in WWE, she's a better Ronda Rousey than you. and Baszler told Rousey to bring her heavy ass to the ring and settle things on the spot. Fans cheered, and she said, yeah, no, and then she took a seat, unless you want to make me. And then Baszler left the ring, ran up the steps, and Ronda said that she would help Baszler just as she had throughout her career by getting her booked at SummerSlam, and said, I'll see you in Motor City, and dropped the mic and left the skybox, press box, whatever. So Baszler remained in the ring, and the crowd cheered. So I guess, again, this is, at least for this week, Baszler appeared to be the babyface. But again, it seems to be flipping week by week who they're testing to see who the crowd reacts to. I would imagine that they're going to stick with Baszler, at least in the definitional term of being a babyface. But this is really going to be driven by the crowd, who they decide. I don't expect this to be a long-standing feud. It's going to be a one-off, I think, after SummerSlam, and that's it. And maybe Ronda Rousey wraps things up at SummerSlam. From what I've heard, that could be it. All right. Let's see. We got Becky Lynch walking backstage. Ricochet was interviewed by, who was it? Redmond, I think it was. And after a few highlights of his angle, he said Paul doesn't get it, and said Paul thinks he's a joke because he lives in his own social media world where everyone's a joke compared to him. Ricochet said the fans were in the arena for WWE, and in this world, Paul is the joke. Ricochet challenged Paul to meet him on Raw in Tampa next week and vowed to hurt his ego. So, yeah, okay. So it's going to be another face-to-face next week with Ricochet and Logan Paul. I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm not being facetious. All right, so we got Lynch and Miz. Tensions rose pretty quickly before Miz introduced Stratus and Stark. And Stratus said they're done with Lynch and they're moving on. And Stratus teased leaving and then stopped and said that this seems like a great place for Lynch to say thank you, Trish. And it all boiled down to Lynch challenging Trish. Trish eventually saying yes if Lynch could get through Zoe Stark and if she agreed to get on her knees and say thank you, Trish, and get a tattoo of thank you, Tish. I'm making fun of the gaff, but she meant Trish, of course. She did say that Lynch would have to agree to get a tattoo of thank you, Trish, across her chest. Of course, that's not going to happen. And then the both of them attacked Lynch. Lynch fought them both off. And then Lynch took Trish's face shield and used it to headbutt Stark. So this is okay. I mean, I'm ready for this program to conclude. I keep saying it, but I would imagine Lita is going to somehow be involved to even the odds, even the score against Zoe Stark, who's going to try to screw over Lynch in this match. That's my guess. So, all right, we got Bronson Reed and Shinsuke Nakamura. I feel like they've been having a low-key long program. Am I wrong? But Bronson Reed beat Shinsuke by DQ in 7 minutes and 30 seconds, but the finish was that Reed went to the top for his finish. Nakamura cut him off with a kick and then delivered a knee lift and a flying knee. Nakamura set up for his finish. Reed hit him with a crossbody block, and then Ciampa entered the ring and attacked Reed for the DQ. So, the real program seems to be building for Ciampa and Reed, which is cool. I think that's going to be a fun program. After the match, though, Nakamura was upset with Ciampa, who was apologetic and said, "My bad," and Nakamura dropped Ciampa with a kick and then left. So I don't know if this is a Nakamura heel turn. I doubt it. It's just the frustration in losing and him being costed the match because of his interference. This could lead to a triple threat of Reed, Nakamura, and Ricochet. You'd imagine that's probably where they're going. But I don't know what they're going to be fighting over. Just pride, I guess. Let's see. Oh, Nakamura did say he's tired of everyone getting in his business, and Saxton asked him what went down with Ciampa, and Nakamura stood up and said the same line over and over again. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. So next week on Raw, by the way, before we conclude with the main event, Becky versus Zoe, and if Lynch wins, she gets her rematch with Trish. Drew and Gunther go face-to-face, and Logan Paul responds to Ricochet's challenge. That was the build for next week's Raw. All right, so tag team title match, main event. KO and Sami versus Damien and Dom with Rhea, Dirty Dom, with Rhea for the undisputed WWE tag team titles. This match went, let me look at the timestamp here. This match was 15 minutes. Yeah, I believe it. It felt a little long to me. I don't know, maybe because I was ready for Raw to end. And this was, I think, a solid main event. This was one that you kind of knew the outcome here, although it did make you think for a moment that there's a chance that the Judgment Day could capture the belts, and then Dom could capture the NXT North American Championship, and then all of a sudden they have all the gold. Well, relatively speaking. At least every member would be holding gold. So that's not what happened here, though. We did get Liv, who was kind of the savior of the match, Liv Morgan, because she ended up clotheslining Ripley, who was about to cost KO and Sami the match, and they tumbled into the timekeeper's area. And then Dom was hit with an exploder suplex by Zayn, who was about to get the haluva kick, but Priest cut off Zayn, but Owens dropped Priest with a stunner, and then Zayn hit the haluva kick on Dom and got the 1-2-3. I'm surprised Dom took the pin here. I really don't want Dom being pinned too much. I don't want him turning into a joke of a heel. Not that he's going to be a badass, like a world beater, but I don't want him losing too often. So I'd like this to be more of a exception than the rule. However, satisfying nonetheless, and the stunner is still so much fun to watch. So KO and Sami retain, and it should have been that way. Having Ripley be attacked by Morgan, though, is interesting to me. And you would imagine that Ripley and Liv are going to be the ones to have a match maybe next week. And Raquel is ringside or about to. Here's my guess. Ripley and Liv have a match next week after what Liv did to Ripley during the main event this past week. Liv's going to lose to Ripley next week. I mean, that's my guess if this match even happens. Then, after the match, we're going to have Ripley try to injure and hurt Liv. That's where Raquel tries to stop her and does so and challenges Ripley to a match for her championship at I keep saying WrestleMania, at SummerSlam. So that's my guess. Again, good show. Solid. Not something that you're going to probably remember in a few weeks even, but it moved things forward in Atlanta, and next week they're in Tampa. So they're going from one big city, one big market to the next. So you would imagine next week, with 2 weeks until SummerSlam, that they're going to be in full SummerSlam mode. Next week is likely going to be when a lot of matches become official, with probably with Rhea and Raquel for the Women's Championship, the Women's World Championship, and with, of course, we got Brock and now Cody official. We are going to get the Intercontinental Championship official with Gunther and Drew. You'd imagine that's probably what's coming too. And so probably another one in there too. So we shall see. But overall, guys, good show. I would, again, encourage you to go VIP on our website if you want ad free. We still have a website, guys. WWEpodcast.com is the place to go. And you can also access our discussion with Just Incredible. Great road stories, not PG, not for the family, right? Put the wives and the kids to bed for this one. All right. Trust me on that. It's an after dark show that we recorded a week ago with Just Incredible. A great storyteller. So much fun. It was over an hour. Myself and Michael Gross we're talking with him, and he did such a great job hosting the show. And Justin was so much fun to talk to. PJ Palaco, real name. And that's only exclusive to those who subscribe on Apple or are on WWEpodcast.com as a VIP member or on Patreon at the SmackDown tier and higher. So a little bit of a paywall to get through that, but trust me, it's worth that $1 or $2 to listen to. And you get every show that we do ever ad-free. So there's that. And with that sales pitch, transparent sales pitch, I will leave the show. And I'll be back tomorrow with the mailbag. You guys send in your emails and voicemails. I'll be responding to them tomorrow. So until then, guys, thanks so much for listening. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show. Or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.